Imagine this. You wake up one morning and the house is silent. No footsteps in the hallway. No one asking if you've had breakfast yet. Just you, your chair, and the quiet. For many people in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, that silence can feel heavy, like a reminder that life has changed. But here's what I've learned after decades of working with older adults. Living alone doesn't have to mean living lonely. In fact, this stage of life can become a chance to rediscover yourself, to find meaning in ways you may have overlooked when life was busier. I once worked with a man named Samuel who lost his wife after 50 years of marriage. For months, he barely left the house. But then he picked up an old typewriter and began writing stories from his Navy days. He told me the house didn't feel so empty once I filled it with my own words. That small act gave him purpose again. And that's the truth I want you to hold on to. You still matter, and your life still has chapters worth writing. In this video, we'll explore 7 simple but powerful practices, from keeping a steady daily rhythm to gentle movement to nourishing your body and mind, staying connected, learning new things, finding personal purpose, and caring for your spirit. Each of these can turn solitude into strength. I want you to ask yourself, what's one thing you could do tomorrow morning that would bring more peace, more energy, or more meaning into your day? Because the answer to that question may be the first step to transforming how you experience living alone in your later years. Have you ever had a day where everything just seemed to slip into a blur? You woke up late, skipped breakfast, stayed in your pajamas until afternoon. Then evening comes and you sit by the window asking yourself, what did I even do today? When you live alone, especially in your later years, this can quietly become the norm. At first it feels harmless, but over time that lack of structure slowly eats away at your energy, your mood, even your mental sharpness. That's why maintaining a steady daily rhythm is so important. I'm not talking about a strict schedule like the one you had when you were working full-time. I mean simple, predictable anchors that give your day shape. Waking up around the same time each morning, having a real breakfast, changing into clean clothes even if no one else will see, and at night creating a moment to slow down, turn off the lights, and go to bed at a decent hour. These small routines might sound ordinary, but they're actually the framework that keeps your mind clear, your digestion steady, your sleep deeper, and your spirit more grounded. I once worked with an 81-year-old man who lost his wife after more than 50 years of marriage. He told me those first months felt like walking through fog, days and nights all blurred together. But then he began with the smallest steps, opening the curtains at the same time each morning, making his bed, preparing a simple breakfast. Within weeks, he was walking outside again, enjoying tea in the evenings, and finally sleeping better. He looked at me and said with a smile, I took back control of my life, one small ritual at a time. So I want you to think about this. If tomorrow morning you added just one small ritual, like a 10-minute walk, listening to your favorite song, or simply opening the window to let in the sunlight, how would that change the way your day feels? Because building a rhythm isn't just about time management. It's a quiet, powerful way of telling yourself, I still value me. And sometimes that self-respect is the very key to living with health, peace, and meaning in later life, even when you're on your own. Let me ask you something. How many hours a day do you spend just sitting? For many older adults I've worked with, the chair becomes the center of life. Wake up, sit down, move to the kitchen, then back to the same seat again. At first, it doesn't seem like a big deal. But over time, the body starts to notice stiff joints, aching back, slower balance, even feeling tired after doing nothing. And here's the truth, staying still is what ages us the fastest. But movement doesn't have to mean running marathons or lifting heavy weights at the gym. What really matters is gentle, regular motion, tiny acts that tell your body, I still need you. Imagine walking to the mailbox each morning, standing up and sitting down from your chair, 10 times stretching your arms while waiting for your tea to steep, or simply taking a slow stroll around the block. These small actions may not look like much, but science shows they improve memory, reduce anxiety, help with sleep, and most importantly, they protect your independence. I once worked with a 78-year-old woman who told me she felt exhausted just climbing the few steps to her front porch. She decided to start walking just to her mailbox every morning. That was it. Within a few weeks, she added the neighbor's driveway, then around the block. She told me, I feel lighter, calmer, and proud of myself again. That's the power of consistency. So I want you to reflect for a moment, what's one small movement you could add to your day? Because when you keep moving, you're not just stretching your muscles, you're stretching out the quality of your life. You're buying yourself more mornings where you rise without needing help. More days when you can cook your own meals, care for your plants, and step outside to feel the sun. Gentle movement is not about exercise, it's about freedom. And you deserve that freedom at every age. The third thing I want to share with you is this: eat wisely and take care of your health regularly. As we get older, food becomes so much more than just flavor or filling the stomach. It's the fuel that keeps our bones strong, our heart steady, and our mind clear. Yet I've seen many older adults slip into habits like skipping meals, eating too much processed food, or adding too much sugar and salt. At first it feels harmless, but slowly it shows up as fatigue, weak bones, high blood pressure, or even diabetes. Your body in your 70s or 80s simply doesn't process food the way it did decades ago. It needs balance and care. That means more green vegetables, fresh fruits, fish tofu beans, foods that nourish without weighing you down. It means less salt, fewer sweets, and less animal fat. And yes, it means water. Many of my patients tell me they feel tired when really they're just dehydrated. Sometimes a single glass of water changes everything. I once worked with a woman in her late 70s who never ate breakfast because she said she wasn't hungry in the morning. Over the years, that habit left her weak and dizzy. When we added just a simple bowl of oatmeal with fruit in the mornings, her strength and mood lifted within weeks. One small change made a huge difference. And let's not forget checkups. Every 6 months, every year, go see your doctor. Preventive care is like a safety net. It catches the problem before it becomes too heavy to carry. So let me ask you, what small shift could you make this week in the way you eat or care for your health? Because eating wisely and getting regular checkups isn't just medical advice. It's an act of self-respect. It's proof that you still value your body, your future, and the life you're living right now. The fourth thing I want to share with you is this: keep small but steady connections with others. You know, loneliness doesn't always come from being physically alone. It often comes from feeling unseen, like your presence doesn't matter anymore. And that's why the smallest gestures can mean so much. A quick phone call to a friend, a simple hello to your neighbor, even sharing a cup of coffee once a week, these little moments warm the heart and remind you that you still belong. It doesn't take a big crowd or noisy gatherings. What matters is sincerity. I once had a patient, a man in his 80s, who admitted he went days without speaking to anyone. Then one morning he left a note for his neighbor offering to collect their mail while they were away. That small act turned into Saturday coffee together. Nothing grand, but it gave him something to look forward to and someone who cared. Science backs this up too. Studies show that older adults who maintain even gentle social ties have stronger immune systems, lower rates of depression, and a reduced risk of memory loss. Human beings are wired for connection. It's not about age. It's about being human. So I want you to ask yourself, who could you reach out to this week? Maybe it's an old friend you haven't spoken to in years, or the neighbor you usually just wave at from across the street. You might be surprised at how much joy a simple conversation can bring. And if you feel ready, consider joining a local club, a senior group, or a community class. I've seen people rediscover laughter and purpose just by showing up. Staying connected isn't about filling your schedule. It's about keeping your heart open. And trust me, even the smallest connection can turn solitude into something softer, warmer, and far more meaningful. The fifth thing I want to share with you is this: keep your mind learning. Keep it curious. You see, one of the biggest myths about aging is that learning stops after a certain age. But the truth is, your brain is like a muscle. It thrives on challenge and stimulation, no matter if you're 50, 70, or 90. The more you use it, the stronger and sharper it stays. I once had a patient, a 76-year-old man, who told me he felt his memory was slipping. Instead of giving in to that fear, he decided to learn how to play the guitar, something he had dreamed about in his youth, but never had time for. At first, his fingers were stiff and the chords sounded rough. But within months, not only did his playing improve, but his mood lifted, his confidence grew, and even his doctor noticed better cognitive scores during checkups. His brain responded to the challenge with new energy. And it doesn't have to be music. It could be reading a new book, learning to use a smartphone app, doing puzzles, writing a short story, or even joining a class at the community center. These aren't just hobbies, they're lifelines. They keep your brain active, your spirit engaged, and your days meaningful. Science supports this too. Studies show that seniors who continue to learn reduce their risk of dementia and maintain a stronger sense of purpose. But beyond the science, I believe it's about joy. It's about reminding yourself that life still has more to teach you, more to give you, and more to explore. So let me ask you, what's something you've always wanted to try, but told yourself it was too late? Because the truth is, it's not too late. As long as you wake up each morning, your mind deserves a chance to stretch, to grow, and to discover something new. The fifth thing I want to share with you is this: keep your mind learning. Keep it curious. You see, one of the biggest myths about aging is that learning stops after a certain age. But the truth is, your brain is like a muscle. It thrives on challenge and stimulation, no matter if you're 50, 70, or 90. The more you use it, the stronger and sharper it stays. I once had a patient, a 76-year-old man, who told me he felt his memory was slipping. Instead of giving in to that fear, he decided to learn how to play the guitar, something he had dreamed about in his youth but never had time for. At first, his fingers were stiff and the chords sounded rough. But within months, not only did his playing improve, but his mood lifted, his confidence grew, and even his doctor noticed better cognitive scores during checkups. His brain responded to the challenge with new energy, and it doesn't have to be music. It could be reading a new book, learning to use a smartphone app, doing puzzles, writing a short story, or even joining a class at the community center. These aren't just hobbies, they're lifelines. They keep your brain active, your spirit engaged, and your days meaningful. Science supports this too. Studies show that seniors who continue to learn reduce their risk of dementia and maintain a stronger sense of purpose. But beyond the science, I believe it's about joy. It's about reminding yourself that life still has more to teach you, more to give you, and more to explore. So let me ask you, what's something you've always wanted to try, but told yourself it was too late? Because the truth is, it's not too late. As long as you wake up each morning, your mind deserves the chance to stretch, to grow, and to discover something new. The sixth thing I want to share with you is this: find a personal purpose. One of the hardest parts of aging isn't just physical changes, it's the quiet feeling that your purpose has faded. After retirement, when the house grows silent and people no longer depend on you in the same way, it can feel like the most meaningful chapters are already behind you. But let me tell you something important: purpose doesn't retire. It doesn't disappear with age. It simply changes its shape. I once knew a man in his late 70s who had lost his wife. For months, the silence was unbearable. Then one day, he found an old typewriter in his garage and started writing down stories from his Navy days and memories of raising his children. He wasn't writing for anyone else, just for himself. But as he typed, the silence around him became less empty. He told me, "I finally feel like I have a reason to wake up each morning." That's the power of personal purpose. It breathes life into your days. And it doesn't have to be something big or glamorous. Purpose could be tending to your garden, calling a friend every evening, cooking meals you enjoy, or volunteering a few hours at the local library. It could even be recording your life stories so your grandchildren will one day understand their roots. Research shows that people with even a modest sense of purpose experience better mental health, less stress, and often live longer. But beyond the research, I've seen it firsthand. When you have a reason to get up in the morning, your spirit stays vibrant. So I want you to ask yourself, what is one small thing that could give your day more meaning? Because when you find your own purpose, you're not just filling time, you're creating a life worth living, no matter your age. The seventh thing I want to share with you is this: care for your spirit and practice gratitude. You see, when we talk about health, we often focus on the body, blood pressure, bones, or memory. But the truth is, the heart and the spirit need care just as much. Living alone, it's easy to slip into worry, sadness, or even resentment about what's been lost. And if we're not careful, those feelings quietly take root. But here's what I've learned from decades of listening to older adults: peace of mind doesn't just happen, it's something we can practice. I once worked with a woman in her early 80s who told me she felt overwhelmed by silence after her husband passed away. At first, she drowned in that emptiness. But then she began a simple practice. Every evening before bed, she wrote down 3 things she was grateful for that day. Sometimes it was as small as the roses bloomed or my grandson called. Over time, she noticed her mind was calmer, her sleep deeper, and her days less heavy. Gratitude changed her inner world. And it's not only about writing. Some people find peace in prayer, meditation, or just 5 minutes of slow breathing. Others enjoy sitting by the window with a cup of tea, reflecting on the good moments of the day. These rituals aren't about pretending everything is perfect. They're about creating space for calm, reminding yourself that even in solitude, beauty still exists. Science tells us the same thing. Studies show that gratitude and mindfulness practices lower stress, improve immunity, and even reduce the risk of depression in older adults. But beyond the research, I believe it's about dignity. It's about looking at your life not with regret for what's gone, but with appreciation for what remains. So let me ask you, what would it look like if tonight you paused and named just one thing you were thankful for? Maybe it's your health, maybe it's a friend, or maybe it's simply the chance to see another sunrise. Because when you practice caring for your spirit and embracing gratitude, you transform solitude into serenity. And that serenity is a gift you deserve at any age. My friend, we've now walked together through 7 powerful practices for living well in later life, even when you live alone. Let's pause for a moment and take them in creating a steady daily rhythm, moving your body with gentle consistency, eating wisely and checking your health regularly, keeping small but steady connections, keeping your mind curious and learning, finding your own personal purpose, and finally caring for your spirit with gratitude. Now, I want you to notice something important here. None of these are complicated. None of them require wealth, fame, or a crowd of people around you. They are simple, human, everyday practices, and yet together they form a foundation strong enough to carry you through some of life's quietest and hardest seasons. I've often told my patients over the years, the opposite of aging well is not aging poorly, it's giving up. And the truth is, you don't have to give up. You don't have to let loneliness define you or let silence steal your joy. Every morning that you wake up, you have choices, small, meaningful choices that can bring light back into your day. Think about it. What would your tomorrow look like if you woke up and made your bed? If you went outside for a 10-minute walk, or made a healthy breakfast, or called someone you love just to say hello? What would change if you wrote down one thing you're grateful for tonight before going to sleep? These small steps might feel ordinary, but they are extraordinary in the way they add up. They shape your days, they steady your heart, and slowly they transform your life. I know because I've seen it happen. I've seen widows and widowers rebuild their strength through gentle routines. I've seen seniors who thought their best years were behind them discover new purpose in gardening, in painting and volunteering, or simply in being present for their families. I've seen men and women in their 80s and 90s laugh like children again because they dared to stay curious, to keep learning, to keep connecting. And you too are capable of that. You are not too old. You are not done. The story of your life is still unfolding, and you have the power to shape how this chapter reads. Whether you are 55 or 95, your presence matters, your voice matters, and your days still matter. So here's my heartfelt invitation. Don't just listen to these 7 steps. Try them, choose one, and start tomorrow. Maybe it's making a phone call, maybe it's walking to your mailbox, maybe it's writing down a memory for your grandchildren. Just start, because once you take that first step, the next one becomes easier. And if this message has touched your heart, I'd love for you to be part of this community. Subscribe to this channel so you won't miss more videos like this. Videos designed to encourage, uplift, and remind you that you're not walking this journey alone. Leave a comment below and share with me which of these 7 practices speaks to you the most. Which one will you start tomorrow? Your story matters, and when you share it, also inspires someone else who might be feeling the same way. And please share this video with a friend, a sibling, a neighbor, or anyone you know who may be living alone. Because sometimes all it takes is one video, one idea, one reminder to help someone rediscover hope and strength. So my friend, as we close today, I want you to carry this thought with you. Solitude does not have to be emptiness. It can be a doorway and opening into peace, purpose, and freedom. Your later years can still be rich with meaning if you choose to live them with care, courage, and gratitude. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I'm honored to share this journey with you. Take one small step and let's keep moving forward together.